It's been interesting to see the innovation and the teamwork that is generated so quickly and maintained through a very long period of time.
One of the key things in a technology company is keeping the engineers motivated, challenged, and happy. And one of the ways of doing that we've observed is holding these hackathons. We have these semicolon events that we have worldwide, and we also have purposeful or purpose-built hackathons like this one.
I love the fact that Persistence is investing a lot to do the innovation and the hackathon approach. All those customers are able to interact and find different solutions from each other's conversation.
I've seen a lot of fresh thinking, out-of-box thinking, and then a lot of energy in pretty much trying to solve a problem in 24 hours. The value that we see coming with the actual business problem and trying to solve that here is it gives us a prototype to take it back and demonstrate to our internal customers, and in turn, the speed to market, we believe thereby will be reduced.
We don't have a partner quite like Persistent, and so we need partners to build value on top of the Appian platform. I think that this idea and the way this has been set up is an example of Persistent being totally unique, visionary, and I told him I wanted to steal the idea.
All right, with that shameless plug out of the way, let's talk about some fun things here. I'm going to have in a short bit Josh Seeman, my good friend and a customer, Appian customer from Janus, join me in a minute. So you heard a couple of great sessions this morning. Richard Marshall talked about breaking open the traditional IT and bringing it open to being agile, opening it up to creativity, and opening it up to experiences. And essentially, he talked about digital transformation. And that's what we're here to talk about, and that's how I want us to sort of listen to what Josh has been doing in Janus Capital, again, a financial company. And I'll be talking a little bit more about what he's been doing and how he's been doing it. But before I do that, I wanted to tell you a story. There is a company called Bridgestone Tires. How many of you have been using tires on your cars? That's what I thought. So when they decided that they wanted to do something innovative, different, Persistent was there to help them to do this. So usually tires are sold by the piece. You go to a tire shop, you get 4 tires or 5 tires, or whatever number of tires, and that's how they are sold. So they said, we want to try to see if we can offer tires as a service. So then our creative teams got together. Our teams started thinking, okay, how can we digitally transform this whole business of tires? And we came up with the model where fleet companies in Europe now can drive into a Bridgestone tire shop, get the tread on their tires measured with a mobile device and an application that was built by Persistent, and then yank all 4 tires, replace them with brand new tires, and get charged for just the amount of tread that they have worn out. Or in other words, charge for the tires by the miles that they have traveled. And that's a very, very innovative model. So you don't buy tires, you just buy a service called Tire as a Service. So essentially, when I look at this room, and all of you are Appian customers, some of you are prospective Appian customers, ask yourself this question: what game do you really play? Today, if you look at the IT game, I think it's a very, very different game. In the past, everyone was looking at keeping the lights on. And I go back to Matt when he talked on the first day in the Partner Summit. He was talking about keep the data in mind. You know, the data is being generated by all these systems of record that people have invested millions of dollars in. You're not going to change those systems of record and yank them and put new systems of record in place. But you're going to put processes in place that can leverage that data. So look at that data, have an API-based architecture, have an architecture that can actually pump up your processes and give the experience to the customer that really can transform the business. And that's essentially about crafting new lights. And that's what Persistent has been helping many of the Appian customers out here. And also, we're very, very proud that the path on which Appian has embarked, and I've had many, many discussions with Matt, Bob, and Mark, and others, where there are visions of how we can change the game and how we can take our customers through this journey of transforming themselves. So while there is data everywhere, the insight from that data can only be done only if you put in experiences in the hands of the customers to take insightful data and take decisions on that data. And you can do that through a process that you can build. And that is where, Appian shines, in my opinion. So it's about the how of digital. It's not about, it's the what and why is pretty obvious to most people. It's about the how. And that's what we stand for. That's what Appian, I think, stands for. Instead of giving people a siloed view of things, give them a view where you can take a 360-degree view of a process, of a complete solution, of a complete engagement or an experience with the customer, and be able to draw up the right kind of processes that fetch that data and be able to make customers empowered to be able to take decisions. So if you look at, and this is the only technical slide here, okay, so those of you who are technically challenged like I am, that's the only slide that I have here that will talk to this. So essentially what we're talking about is starting with the data in mind, looking at a layer on top of it, and making sure that the processes are able to leverage both those things, and obviously offer it on a multi-channel experience. The Gartner analyst this morning talked about mobile as a way of doing things, but I think mobile as a way of living is how I think all of us are experiencing it. So if we are experiencing that in our day-to-day life, why wouldn't we experience that in our work life? So the gains obviously are enormous to playing this different game. I'm here to just let Josh talk through how Persistent has partnered with Janus and built a typical standard, what you would call as a traditional sort of a business, and transformed it. And I bet you when you hear him talk for the next few minutes, you will hear a complete transformation story. Josh?
Thank you. All right, we're ready to go? Good morning. This is a great opportunity that I wanted to take at least this group through a journey where we partnered with Persistent to develop what is Janus's first case management application. So we're going to start with the journey. Won't walk through this individually, you guys can read yourself, but you can see right there at the bottom that Matt set me up pretty well. You can see there at the bottom, we will get to the one and done. I've had a lot of side conversations about what that is, but we'll kind of take you through how Janus has taken Matt's commitment to reduce the development time for my team. A little bit about Janus. We are headquartered in the heart of Denver, Colorado, so not the East Coast. We are a global investment firm. If you've seen this in the news recently, we have acquired some businesses and some folks around the globe. But what's really, really important, and again, these have been the conversations I've had the past couple of days, is to understand where BPM falls within our overall program management. So participation is key, the whole reason, the topic of this conversation. Collaboration. Right now, the BPM team is the only team that has brought down the walls, literally, in the cube space, and they operate in a highly collaborative environment where they get up and talk, which sometimes can annoy the people next to them, but they've been able to do that. Recognition and business process management fall together. So the recognition piece, what we call JPEX, Janus Process Excellence, is much bigger, and actually there's recognition in that program where we reward folks for coming up with grassroots ideas. Some of those may end up in Appian, some may not. Metrics is a key portion. But you can see right there the heart of automation, JTRAC, which stands for Janus Task Resource Automation Center, is powered, if I go right there, good slide transition, is powered by Appian. We have our workflow management. Janus for the past 3 years has been focused on risk reduction, where we've implemented and been able to create automation. And now we're here to talk about automation. However, for most people in this room, Thursday nights in the 90s, you'll know who this person is. But today it is the look that the marketing communications group at Appian had when I said, hey, an asset manager wants to talk about a marketing application that we built. But in order to do that, we had to go reach out and search for a partner, and ultimately went with Persistent to help us do that. The hackathons, the innovation, things that you've seen from this organization are things that intrigued us about this company. But ultimately, if you partner, the goal is to come out and win. Fortunately, we did. The Janus team at the Persistent Hackathon took first place. We spent 24 hours, literally 24 hours. Alicia from Persistent organized some great things at 1 o'clock in the morning, a lot of dance activities, things like that. But ultimately, if you partner, the goal out of this is to win. But now I want to take you into Janus's story around the Creative Compliance Approval Tool. So any organization, and us at Fidelity, we have to create materials that are delivered out into the public. This is you wouldn't think, a very significant process within the organization. These are just a view of those types of materials. They range from fact sheets, things that you've seen about Janus out in the world. But the question is, and one that we were able to answer at Janus with some fun the cool thing about doing an application for the marketing team is you come out with some cool swag. We came up with the You Speak CCAT. So we all have fun little t-shirts. I think the sizing is a little off for a big guy like me. It's more turned into spandex. But do you speak CCAT? So CCAT is Janus's largest application to date. These numbers may not for most of you who are kind of larger license count Appian clients, but this was significant for us. But again, what you see is the common theme here is the partnership. 8 unique processes, but 3 different development teams, compliance, and 7 different marketing groups, all got together in a room using that lean kind of Kaizen event. I call them solve sessions. Stands for simplifying opportunities, leveraging various experiences. Means get in a room with your colleagues and sort out your business problems. Establish a new social collaboration. You'll see here in a minute when I get into detail, the news feed was not something that most of our folks in the organization really understood when we went live. Mainly because we were focused on risk reduction, but we have now since moved into the marketing space, which again, you can imagine, they were all about this. So building case management standards is important because most of us have a lot of case management within our business units and around the organization. So standards is very, 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 very important because it creates reusability for your developers, which they love. So we started with a start form, ultimately moved into a bunch of things about that case, which those things to a developer and to a business are business rules, right? So if we bring those 2 things together and we start looking at the screen and the form as it's designed, you're starting to build your standards within the organization. We've had some buttons, filters. These are, for the Appian space, these are different sections that display based on what you do. The deliverable requirements, those are business rules. Yes, no means something to somebody that they're going to use as part of this case. Now let's talk about case management. Now that we're implemented, or the form has been submitted, the person that is responsible for that project to get done has to be able to manage their way through the process. So you can see related actions at the top. Those are things that you can do regarding this case once it's been submitted. Whether that be another person needs to look at it, whether they need to add a new project to the overall umbrella, whether they need to manage or change their way through the process. The second part is, well, what are all those things that I need to look at regarding this project, and what's the status of those things? I don't want to have to call. Right now, we either call, we either email, we do numerous things. I just want to go to one screen, one form to be able to do that. Once you click that, it brings you actually to the detail of that specific project underneath the larger umbrella. So again, one-stop shop to understanding the status, who has it, what are the specific details, the business rules about that item, and who do I need to contact, more importantly, but at least you've done a little vetting prior to that. And the next step, dashboards. Janus has chosen to use dashboards as a way for individual business units to sort their data, their information, into one dashboard. So just as an example, oh, there we go, department level type information. But like I said earlier, the development achievements to move to social. We got a few folks that have, and not to box them into any age category, but a hashtag is more than a number symbol, we've learned. And with that, they've actually started to use the news feed and hashtag certain things about different marketing materials that they can now search on and find the information about that. So I thought that was really cool to watch that evolve. Training didn't come from me, for darn sure. It creates a historical record, and more importantly, just like the BPM team and how we started and we brought the cube walls down, it starts to promote collaboration amongst the teams. And it creates a historical record about that. CCAT benefits. For compliance, the old technology that was in place, they didn't finish it all the way through when they implemented it a few years back. So they are the smallest users of CCAT. They're 5 or 6 people of that 144. But funny enough is that they saw the biggest benefits of this entire application. They are in this application every single day, and they manage their work through the tasks and the reports within CCAT. The reduction of 789 touches, understand that that's actually touching the same document twice. Okay? And that's working with a regulatory body. So we're able to streamline that and create an automated integration with our regulatory agency, which now those documents, when they come back and they're approved, which again, right, Fidelity, we hope they are, they actually just go all the way back through the process owner. But with anything, you look at trying to gain efficiency through the process in every part of the application. So we looked at the hours achieved, and you can see roughly 1,000 hours of manual work removed from the process. But we had one single business unit that actually wasn't using it, didn't even have the old technology. They were having to take documents down from a third party and manually enter those jobs within our marketing application to get it through to compliance every single quarter. So one of the major things in working with Persistent to come up with this design and was to create a recurrence process. Now, we just went live in February. They spent the upfront time of manually putting those things into CCAT, and we're excited to wait for that first reoccurrence to happen. But that's 1,600 items, a couple of days that they needed to spend every quarter actually submitting those jobs into CCAT. Okay, here we go. So did Matt say he was actually going to cut development time in half? And then we have another individual, fun little individual, asking, what does low code mean? And I think that that's something that, at least from Janus, we've embraced. And Matt did put it up yesterday, but here's the fun little logo, right? Because everything needs to be branded within the organization. But I want to take you down something and really shift gears away from a big, large project, which was CCAT. We had one developer and one of our lead developers who, these lights weren't bright, I'd be able to point her out, but Chastity Davis is out there somewhere. Partner with, there she is, waving her hands. Partner with Persistent in a inshore model. But more importantly, we created a partnership between the two organizations where I felt comfortable enough where I didn't have to have that individual sitting at Janus every single day. And we were actually able to work remotely for 5 months with 2 developers working in one application. For the developers in this room, they understand how difficult that is sometimes because code needs to be brought together, but ultimately achieve success. And now we're going to shift into, well, what happens after a very large project? Trying to keep employee engagement up for those folks for any folks that have been part of a 5 or 6 month long project. You know that about month 3, 4, you're starting to get exhausted and you want this thing done. So one and done was meant to challenge Appian on the statement. And the second part was to really give developers, designers, BAs a break from a very long project and immediately get success again. So to take you through this, we have to ask the question, what is a one and done? Right? Pause for a second, get it done, and then let's talk about the benefits of that. So it needs to be simple. A single business unit with no integrations. The goal, complete the development, the design in 1 week. Which means we gotta bring our business partners in, we have to get the week set up. But again, the goal is to take a break while our new business partners who are running off with this great application that we just built for 5 months are getting ready to inundate us with all these new enhancements, because we know it's coming. One room, business analyst, developer, and the business. And I call it rapid SDLC, because with any application, you do want to put it through the rigors. Some of the tools that I've seen the past couple of days are actually going to be able to help us with that. Some of the automated testing using Selenium and these other types of tools will help us get through this SDLC process quicker. Develop, test, use. That's the idea. What we have been able to do is get through the design and the development in a week, and then we look to hand it off to SQA, and I have to work with some folks to get some resources to get those tested, because sometimes their priorities don't line up with mine, which again we've all seen. The benefits of this is you exceed the client's expectations, right? You create new sprint development standards within the organization, and you further take JTrack into the organization, right? And it's another completion of a business application. What's really important to understand, I didn't necessarily articulate it here, is you want to put these one and dones where you already have another business application, because they are meant to solve a single business unit issue. So you don't want to go and just have a one and done within a brand new organization, because you're really not getting the value for the applications that you're putting out there. Okay? A couple of other questions that people have asked me about this one and done is, well, doesn't it turn into a larger, or shouldn't it be part of a larger application, and who's controlling that? For us, we do. And our team understands the entire landscape of where JTrack is being used within the organization. So we're able to go, no, that actually is not a single business unit application. It actually jumps over here, and it should be part of another application. The other piece of that is, once we roll out a larger application, there's this fine line in between of what's a one and done And they know how excited I am about that. So they say, well, Josh, this is a one and done. And I'm like, no, that's an enhancement to the 5-month application we just built. You're going to have to hold tight until wait till that enhancement, or wait till that release. But I bring you to this. Teamwork plus partnership divided by collaboration equals success. So there's a couple of things here that's happened in the past 12 months that I wanted to, I think is matching the growth of this room for somebody that's been here for 4 years now and spending time in the Ronald Reagan building, pretty much the same weather. So you didn't miss much then. But I went out to Columbus, like I talked about earlier, and Persistent was having their first Appian hackathon. They've had them in other parts of the organization, but this was the first one. And Sudhir and I are going to talk about that here in a second. But the other piece of that is that an idea in that Chastity has taken on and has grown. We're actually able in March, through her direction, partner with all of the Appian clients within the Denver area. Appian was at the first one. We're going to keep it to just the users in the next one. But the goal is to sit and talk about the cool stuff that each one of us are building. And thinking through this last year, the developers and the designers are only as good as the conversations that they're having and the last application that they built. So it is highly, highly important to have discussions with your folks. If you've got another Appian client that's around you, have a conversation with them about the cool stuff that they have built, and bring that into your organization. We're leveraging Persistent to do that, and we hope to be able to share those types of things in our user groups within the Denver area. Chastity and the team have set up a great agenda. A lot of it is to review what we did here, because not everybody could attend. But we very much look forward to sharing those types of things and with our colleagues in the Denver area. So with that, we will transfer to another cool thing that we've come up with. So I appreciate your time. If anybody has any questions, I do want to thank my ALC colleague Anandis for taking that 10:30 slot. He volunteered for it. But that was a great presentation by Eric this morning. But the one thing I did take away from that is, just like Eric said, take an envelope, take a risk. May not say fear factor on it, but business partners, partner with IT. And IT, take a risk and partner with the business, right? I think that's a lot of the things that I hear within the group is that, ultimately in every organization that we're part of, the end goal is that client that you are meant to service. Whether that is, whether that's an IT person or a business partner, the 6 degrees of separation, the ultimate goal is that client that's sitting out there. So again, thank you for your time.
On that note,
you're on, Sudhir.
all right. So on that note, Josh, I had a few questions for you. You ended on a very nice note of innovation and collaboration between IT and the business. How have you seen the one and dones or the hackathons, these kind of innovative ideas? How have you seen those impact business?
I think innovation is something that we all struggle with as an organization. I've heard a lot yesterday and today around the use of newer technology surrounded by older technology. And some of the newer companies don't necessarily struggle with that older data. And I think innovation around how to link to that data is what I've seen with the applications that we have built.
Okay, so what really, this goes to several quarters ago when you started working with us. What made you think that, okay, Persistent might be the company that might help me build the kind of innovative solutions that I want to build?
You said the word, innovation.
Yeah.
Sitting here last year and a drone sitting up on the stage and looking at that as something that's getting ready to go into an Appian process. Not that we're going to be flying drones, because we won't, but it shows a thought process. And I think in the past 12 months, I've had a lot of conversations with the innovation team, the solutions team, and in particular, Serini from Persistent around the thought process. You think about all these folks that are running around doing startups. And you've got a startup team within Persistent that all they do is think about innovation.
I love that, because we think of us as a 10,000 person startup. So that's pretty much what we are about. So I know you're sitting here in Washington, D.C. for the last few days. Mm-hmm. And you have this Appian process going on. You've got a lot of stuff on your plate. How do you keep tab on that? I mean, you're like miles away from where the action is. So how do you deal with it?
Sudhir, let's find out. Alexa, ask Appian, how are we doing today?
For today, CCAT is green, corporate actions is green, trade rejections is amber, and cash management is green.
Alexa, ask Appian, what's the status of trade rejections?
Appian is the creation of the Appian Solutions Group.
Alexa, stop. Let's try this one. Alexa, ask Appian, what's the status of trade rejections?
Trade rejections is currently in amber status.
Why? Whoa. Why?
Why don't you?
Alexa, is this all scripted?
Sorry, I can't tell what is playing.
Alexa, ask Appian, is this all scripted?
Of course not. I am powered by Ask Appian, a creation of the Appian Solutions Group at Persistent. It is an advanced analytics tool built on top of Appian, drawing insights from applications, users, tasks, processes, and key business KPIs.
Alexa, ask Appian, is Tom out of the office?
Tom is out of office. Tom currently has 2 tasks assigned to them. These tasks are scheduled to be reassigned to Tom at midnight. Would you rather reassign them now?
Yes.
Okay, who would you like to delegate the tasks to?
Cassidy?
The task reassignment process has been triggered successfully.
So, I know now, Sudhir, what's going on within my organization. Kathy's sitting right here, so she's out of the office as well. But that's how delegation works.
And I assume that she already got the new task that you just assigned to her through Alexa.
She did.
This is fantastic, Josh. Thank you very much. I think we're going to yield some time to the next speaker.
Yeah.
But this was fantastic. Thank you very much for being here and doing a great demo.